She's coming.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Time is 9:04. All right, first item on the agenda is public comment. Andreas, you want to read us into public comment, please?
Please be advised, comments must be kept to 3 minutes or less, and citizens may comment with regard to items on the agenda or pertaining to AEDC policies, programs, or services. As to items not on the agenda, the AEDC board may not discuss or take action on the issue, but may make statements of fact, recite existing policies, request an item to be placed on a future agenda, or make refer question to staff.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Mark this down as a first, at least in our tenure. Yeah. Okay, so no public comment. We will move on in the agenda, which is to discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on the minutes of May 19th, 2640 meeting.
To approve the minutes. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. None opposed. Okay, going right into the next item on the agenda, executive session. So we will break and go to this other conference room for executive session.
We will consult with attorneys on pending or contemplated litigation and on matters related to the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under Texas disciplinary rules or professional conduct leading to offenses with the Texas Open Meeting Act. In accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551-071, performance under the location incentive agreement with the Sharp and Iron Steel LLC. Point B. Deliberation regarding economic development negotiations in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act Section 541.087. Discussion regarding commercial or financial information received from a business prospect and or to deliberate the offer of financial or other incentive to business prospect. Project number 251121, manufacturing. Project number 240601, transportation. Project number 254801, aviation. Project number 220903, production distribution. Point C. Deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property in deliberation in an open meeting would have an detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third person, in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.072. Potential purchase of real property located in the southwest quadrant of the city of Amarillo.
Yes. Need the time?
The time, yeah, time, please.
9:08.
Thank you.
We've adjourned to executive session at 10:35 a.m. We're now back in open session. And we're going to pause for a quick minute. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you for your patience.
All right, we're live.
We're reconvening our meeting at 10:40 a.m. All right. Agenda item number 5, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on performance under the location incentive agreement with Sharp and Iron Studios LLC. So, Sean, would you mind, we had a couple of questions, the board had a couple of questions, would you mind coming up to the podium, please? Sir. First, thanks for taking the time and preparing, documents that have been provided. I know you spent a lot of time with the staff answering, a few questions. It'd be helpful for us. I think we had kind of 2 core questions we wanted to ask.
Yeah.
And then, there may be other questions that come up from your explanation. And I'll put them together and you can answer them in kind of whichever order you want. One is, we, what your future plans, pipeline, prospects look like, your continuing business operations, and I know you provided some of that here, we'd like to hear from you. Then on the financial side of things, not included in our documentation, but staff's work, there was, at the end of, I may get the numbers off just a little bit, but at the end of the year, there was roughly $207,000 in cash. We come to the end of May, and that account is now roughly $17,000. And we don't have a current balance sheet that shows us, did the liabilities go down with that 200,000? So we just, in general, if you could break down what happened from January to May.
Absolutely. Let me answer that one first.
Okay.
Obviously, you've got, when you lose your lease and you have to relocate, there's a considerable amount of expenses to that. We had already, due to the strikes and the impact of the strikes it had on the industry writ large, but particularly us, we had already gone down to a skeletal staff, 14 down to 4. So if you're counting me and my wife as one when we paid ourselves. 2 of them are based in London. I'll just be very transparent. The 3 staff were our children. Virginia and Tabitha are based in London, and Sean Jr. was our facilities manager. So we had gone down as much as we could. But when we were forced to move out of a 50,000 square foot facility in 2 weeks, we had to find some place to move $1.5 million worth of equipment, where to store the camera truck. The cameras obviously are very sensitive, so they have to be temperature controlled. There was additional moving staff that had to be employed to help us move. But we were still in production. We were still renting. We were still bringing productions here. We had actually negotiated an $18 million movie called Shell Game, which was coming into Amarillo. They took over the studio for the month of September and half of October. Well, they came in before they had closed finance. So they took over the studio, turned it over, and were literally upside down moving things around, and left us with a $72,000 rental bill. Now we're still working with them to try to bring them back. They believe that they have their financing in place, and that's a lot of money. That's a lot of people. We're talking about 60 to 100 crew members. They're all gonna need some place to stay for about 6 weeks. And I think we've put several people in your homes or your hotels, and we've obviously talked to Matt at Cactus Cove as well. So we just had a lot of expenses come in. And then we had crew that needed to be paid this first part of this year as well. We had a production come in from Rhode Island that had seen our lookbook. I think I put this in my letter, and they loved some of the scenes. Well, we supplied the crew, and those crew, we paid top dollar to them. Those had to go out. So we just had an inordinate large amount of expenses. And then other projects and crews that the invoices came due right after the end of the year, which took our reserves down. So that move, having to relocate, we had to revamp our website, obviously redo our marketing, because now we can't advertise. We have currently a soundstage, editing suite, etc. That all helped take our reserves down. There were some investors that had helped us out that we paid back to the tune of about $53,000. I wanted to get that money back to them, particularly knowing that we were now in a legal fight. There's about $45,000 that went to Kevin Eastern to fight our eviction fight, as well as now our 108 case, because we are pursuing a lawsuit against Amarillo College. So that's really kind of where that number has shrunk down so significantly. As far as the future, I think you all know my wife at this point, who's born and raised here in Amarillo. Our plans are still to turn Amarillo into the film production hub that Albuquerque became when the ABQ studios built there. Our industry has gone through one of the most tumultuous times in its nearly 100-year history. First, we get hit with a global pandemic. And I understand Governor Abbott reached a point where he just banned COVID in Texas, but SAG didn't care. We still had restrictions that the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild put upon the industry if you were going to film. Our movie, What Remains, which was filmed in 21, our production budget was $1.4 million. I could show you receipts where $568,000 of that went to hotels, went to bars, went to restaurants, dry cleaners, lumber yards, etc. That was direct payment. Now, I can't account for what Ann spent, Ann Hayes, when she took the cast and crew to go to karaoke 2 times. Those are the indirect benefits. But directly, there's a lot of economic benefit that comes from filming there. But we still had to, the reason What Remains was able to be filmed is because it was an independent. We still had to follow SAG rules for Callan, Cress, and Ann, which was very restrictive. But the industry wasn't moving forward. We come out of that, and then we go into the worst strikes the film industry has ever seen. The writers and the actors were out for 6 months. AEDC, the below the line crew guild, didn't come back for over a year. All investment stopped. All investment. We had a $10 million investment deal that pulled because the strikes went so long. We're now coming out of that. In fact, writers, the actors, the directors, just all agreed to not a typical 3-year deal, but a 4-year deal, which gives great stability for the industry. I'm in negotiations right now with an investor who wants to come in now that we have that stability and invest in SIS. Our commitment is to find local land here that we can purchase, not be under a lease or have any of those restrictions or that kind of sword of Damocles hanging over our head, and build not 1, not 2, but 3 sound stages. Now here's a blessing in disguise by us going through all this. And I would dare say few businesses could survive what we have survived and still be here in front of you saying, hey, we've got a future, we're moving forward. The industry has changed so much due primarily to the strikes that what we were intending to build downtown would no longer be effective. With AI coming in, you don't need a 25,000 or 50,000 square foot soundstage. A 15,000 square foot soundstage with an LED volume is all you need. With that, I could put you guys on Mars if you wanted to have a film on Mars. So that reduces cost. But now we've got this new creator universe that started. These are the content creators that you see on TikTok, YouTube, whatnot. They're now looking for static sets. They don't want to come in and invest and take up a 15,000 square foot soundstage and build sets. They want to come in someplace where a police station already exists, a hospital, business office, what have you. There's one being built, they call them filmology creator sound stages or studios. There's one being built in Patterson, New Jersey, $250 million. And there was one they're converting an old silk factory. So I can only imagine the environmental issues they're having to deal with. There's another company that's building one down in Chula Vista. That's what we want to build. But now, so you got the East Coast, you got the West Coast, SIS and Amarillo can have the center of the country covered. We have been given this time. Yes, it's been tough, but now we understand where the industry is going, what it actually needs. It will reduce actually our build costs significantly. But we can go again from 1 or 2 sound stages we're planning on building downtown to at least 3. So that's what we're planning to do. We're also working on a series called Bite Size Bible. Some of you, Holly, might know about microdramas, but they're essentially films, 1.5 hour films that are broken into 1 to 3 minute episodes. They are intentionally shot, my phone's back there, to be watched on a phone or a pad. It's focusing on that younger TikTok generation. These started 3 years ago in China. They've swept the world. Last year was a $16 billion industry, and it's projected to go past 25 billion by 2030. Right now, everything out there is over-sexualized, salacious garbage. I'm in love with the vampire, I'm in love with the werewolf, the billionaire has 2 wives. No one has taken this medium and told the stories of the Bible, but we are. I'm going down to Decatur on Thursday to meet with an investor to possibly fund our first 4 seasons, which is $1 million. That will be Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, all filmed here in Amarillo. Because I can make Palo Duro and other areas look like Egypt, Jordan, Israel. So that's our plan, that's our future. We're gonna be here, we're going to build, we're gonna bring production. We've already brought over 128 productions, ranging from music videos to Yellowstone. We were involved in 1883, 1923, Yellowstone, and now Dutton Ranch. They came here because SIS is here, because we have the equipment that they need. If we didn't exist, if we didn't have the grip electric transportation here, they'd have to rent it from Albuquerque or from Dallas. And at that point, you might as well just stay there and film there because there's more crew. We are working with WT. We met with Dr. Windler and Dr. Peterson about doing an actual film school out at WT that will produce the crew that we desperately need. That's our Achilles heel. We've provided the other tools. We have to have the crew. And I think WT will step up to do that. I hope that answered the questions.
Can I follow up with a
Please.
question or two? So, just briefly, a little more specific maybe, is, as we're looking at the possibility of extending this agreement, how much investment, you talked about an investor or two. This is a twofold question. How much investment would it require for you to survive the next couple of years? And then following up on that is, what would be the estimate of the top line revenue to SIS in the next 2 years? Just kind of focus it on that, just
Yeah,
little bites at
absolutely.
a time, 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we were to just go bare bones, this $1 million investment that I'm hoping to secure Thursday would start Bite-Sized Bible. We
Sorry,
anticipate Bite-Sized Bible, our microdrama series.
Okay.
We anticipate a 10x return on that, and that's very, very conservative. When the rest of the industry is looking at $16 billion, a 10x return is very conservative. That not only brings us the SIS sustainability, but actually starts to allow us to build capital reserves to then go in, if we didn't get any other investors, to then start to build the sound station. Might go 1, then expand to 2 to 3. But if that alone was there, we would survive and in fact grow and thrive, because that microdrama medium is just going to keep exploding. The gentleman I'm talking to Thursday is just for the microdramas. I've been negotiating for the last 4 months with a gentleman out of Miami who believes in the infrastructure idea of Sharp and Iron Studios. And we have a term sheet that we're going back and forth on to make a significant enough investment where we would be able to build the creator space, the 3 sound stages that I just talked about here in Amarillo. But Dean, if that didn't fall through, Bite-Sized Bible would be more than enough to not only sustain us, help us grow, but really start to build the industry here in Amarillo we want to build.
And how would that equate if let's just say you got the 1?
Yes, sir.
How would that equate in the next 2 years to your payroll, your Amarillo payroll?
It's a fantastic question. Our goal has always been to hire local. Anytime, whether it's one of our productions, whether it's What Remains, Shell Game, or anything else that we produce, we look to hire local. Only once have we had to go outside, and that was What Remains. And it was a 60-person crew, and we just had to bring in local, or bring in from the outside. Our base crew is working on training others. Jarrell Simpson is my lead. I use Jarrell for everything. He's bringing other folks that are interested onto these projects as production assistants and getting some experience. I'll be honest, it's hampering us a little bit not having the soundstage anymore, because now we have to do all local. As Bite-Sized Bible continues to grow, we will have to continue to expand that crew. Because not only do we want to just do the films, but along with that, there are 2 things we're doing. One, we've got a brilliant young man that I met at a Faith conference, used to work for Oracle, Microsoft, now started his own program, or his own company. He's building an AI that will go along with Bite-Sized Bible. So when you're watching an episode, say the first episode of Abraham, the patriarch, that's the working title. If first episode, you can tap it, the AI comes up, what is the city of Ur? And the AI will answer the question for you, which is something that doesn't exist with any other microdrama series. All the while, as you're subscribing, because it's subscriber-based, that AI is collecting all that data, which we will then later use to build out a streaming service, also based here in Amarillo, and to market future. In addition to that, we're creating a Bible series, sermon series, and a Bible study series that will go with each episode. We're gonna have to hire people to write those. We're gonna have to hire an entire team that's what they do. They run, consider it Photonics 2.0, right? They have to run that. because I'm gonna be busy continuing to raise money and overseeing the operations. Our production team is going to be busy pumping out Bite-Sized Bible, Martyred, which is a $25 million film we're in development on. So that's how it's going to continue to grow. I'm not from Amarillo, my beautiful bride is, but we love it here, we moved here for a reason. I want to be part of Amarillo's growth. I can't do that if I'm having to bring people from Dallas.
Well, we want you to, we just want, I mean, my question is really more specific to, if Bite-Sized Bible is done in 2 years, if you get that $1 million investment, that's the only way that's gonna happen, right?
No, we've got, that's like one chunk.
Is the chunk, is the Abraham, is that a 2-year project?
No.
Or is there more than that?
No, actually, thank you for asking the question. So the reason so each season, I'm calling them a season. So season 1 is Abraham, season 2 is Isaac, then Jacob, then Joseph. Each one has a $250,000 budget. Now, typically, these are filmed between 70 and 150,000. So you're asking, okay, Doherty, why are you spending more than that? Well, two reasons. One, what we've learned is, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. That's why SIS exists, right? In order for people to watch, let me back up. The biggest hit on Christian productions is they're just not good, right? The acting's bad, the writing's bad, the directing's bad, the cinematography's bad. They're just not good, right? They're getting better. Chosen has created a new standard. But if we want people to watch our productions like Bite-Sized Bible, they have to be better than everything else out there. So we're increasing the budget to make sure that they're better than anything out there. And that's why Sean Trauma, who plays the Pharisee Shemuel on The Chosen, and Amy Bailey, who plays Johanna on The Chosen, are part of our production team. The other reason is the Texas rebates. So in order to participate in the rebates, which we spearheaded, we got those passed. You have to have a budget of $250,000. That gives you a 5% rebate base. Now there's several uplifts that, while aren't specific to SIS, you can only get if you film at SIS and film here in Amarillo. However, if you submit a budget of $1 million, your base goes from 5% to 10%. With the uplifts that will come from filming here and filming with SIS, that rebate goes to 23%, which means Abraham is all but funded on the rebate alone. How many stories can you tell from the Bible? It's almost infinite. But then you've got the spinoffs, the retelling of Boaz, the retelling of David, the retelling of Joseph, but in a modern, or Ruth, Esther, but in a modern sense. So really, we'll long be retired and maybe, something else before Bite-Sized Bible will ever run out of stories to tell.
So I'll agree, but let me ask a very specific question. In 2 years, all
Yes.
this stuff that you talk about, what does that look like from a profitability standpoint for us?
From a profitability standpoint,
Just a number.
about $10 million.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And how many employees would that mean for Amarillo?
Each production, and eventually we're gonna be doing multiple productions simultaneously, not counting cast, it'd be about 12 for each production. Now, some of our mainline casts, like Amy is a Texan, but she lives in Austin. Sean lives in Los Angeles. Some of those top, like Sean most likely will play Abraham, Amy will play Sarah. To start, we really need to have those names, right? Because what we've got to do is we have to go out and convince people, the 25 to 45-year-olds, to watch Bite-Sized Bible. You do that by having names. You do that by having star power. After that, we start working with Cheryl Anderson, Diane Dick, to bring their group, their clients in and start to train them to be part of our cast. And then, with the ultimate goal being, it's all Amarillo.
So that 10 million, just to be clear, that's revenue, not profit.
Correct.
What would the profit be on that for you?
Considering you're looking at a really an effective budget, well, let's just say 250,000. These episodes are sold. You give the first 6 to 10 away for free to get people hooked, and then it's $2 an episode. That's not counting any ad revenue, it's not counting anything from AI, it's not counting anything from our sermon series. If you're looking at 40 episodes that people are paying, then it's $1 million profit per season. So Abraham is $1 million profit, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph.
That's within 2 years?
Yeah.
So $4 million?
Yes. Because the filming schedule for these is 6 to 10 days. Post is maybe a month. And what we do is we film Abraham, and then we roll right into Isaac, and right into Jacob, right into Joseph. And post-production, which is editing, sound, all that, is just rolling right along behind it. So it's a steamroll. We just keep going. There's no reason to stop.
That's all the questions I had.
Sorry if I took
Any
too
others?
long to get to
No,
the
you're
point.
good. All right, Sean, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean.
Right. Any other discussion here? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Did I? So. Let me read this, make sure it's right. So I'll make the motion to make an amendment to amendment 1 to the location incentive agreement for Sharp Iron to extend the performance period to begin in 2028, requiring also a promissory note, to execute a promissory note of $500,000 with interest at 8%. And require a semi-annual progress reports for our staff, including financial updates.
Yes.
Did that cover it, John?
Please, sir. A second. Have a second? A motion, and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. None opposed. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Randy's gotta leave for a meeting.
I got a medical procedure at 11:30, so I need to get out of here, but I wanna make sure we got the program.
Thanks, Randy.
You got your 3 people here. All right, thank y'all.
Take care.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Elliot, you may just clarify that city council is next.
Yes. Yeah, just a point of clarification, so now that the board has, approved an amendment, based on Dean's motion, it will go before city council before it's ultimately decided.
And the public will get access to the actual amendment for their review.
Correct. All right, moving on. Agenda item number 6, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on project number 25-11-01, location incentive agreement between Amarillo Economic Development Corporation and Owens Corning Composite Materials for an incentive of $15,000 per job created, up to 165 new jobs paid over 5 years, for a potential incentive of $2,475,000. I would also, if there's no discussion, I would entertain a motion here as well.
So the motion being that we would, I'll make the motion, that we enter into a standard agreement, incentive agreement between AEDC and Owens Corning, for an incentive of $15,000 per job created, up to 165 new jobs paid over a 5-year period.
Yes. Second. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, agenda item number 7, quarterly investment reports, Q4 2025 and Q1 2026. Is this staff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you'll turn in your board packet, item 7, we have 2 different investment quarterly reports. The first in your packet is December 31st's quarterly investment report. The second page of that document actually shows what the balance was as of September 30th. Then we show that was 81.7 million. We have $23.2 million worth of acquisitions, $13.2 million worth of maturities, and $11.7 million change in cash. So our balance as of December 31st, 2025 in these investments is $103.3 million. So the next page is actually the March 31st, 2026 quarterly investment report. So kind of the same structure on the second page of that. You can see the types of investments that we have. Of course, the balance at December 31st was $103.4 million. We had $15.3 million change in cash. That was an increase. So our balance as of March 31st was $118.6 million market value, March 31st, 2026. That's just for y'all's information, but we do need to accept the quarterly investment reports from both the fourth quarter of 2025 and the first quarter of 2026 as an action item.
Okay. Quick question operationally.
Yes, sir.
Is there in the management of these investments, when there's transactions occurring, is it all done by the investment manager, or is it run through, is there a staff committee that's involved?
There is not. So we pay a fiscal agent fee to the City of Amarillo staff, and this is as part of their duties. They invest our money according to our investment policy, and they handle that all on their own. We're not consulted.
Which that policy we updated almost a year ago.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or?
Yeah.
So does this need a motion, or we just?
We do. We need to officially accept these
Accept these,
quarterly investment reports.
So I'll make the motion to accept the quarterly reports for December 31st ending December 31st of 2025. Do they need separate motions?
No, sir. You can do it together.
So, and also for the quarter ending March 31st of 2026.
Second.
all right, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 8, staff operational and financial updates.
Go through the financials real quick, and then Andreas may have something to add.
Okay.
And when I say financials, I'm talking about sales tax revenue. The first sheet in your under tab 8 is the sales tax collection analysis. The May payment this year was $2.799, almost $2.8 million. Same period last year was $2.475. That's a $324,000 increase, or 13.2%. For the year, we're eight payments into the year, and we have double-digit sales tax growth of 10.02%. So our sales tax is in our community is very healthy as we continue to see most months with double-digit increases year over year. To give you a better idea of how we stand from a percentage-wise standpoint, in the next page is the top 20 sales and use tax cities. And so Amarillo was number 4. Our percentage increase was just under El Paso's, who was number 3, but at 13.11%. year over year. That puts us at number 4 in the state of Texas. The only other thing that I think's interesting as it relates to that is at the bottom of that page, you see a section called Single Local Rate Collections. Taxable sales in the current payment is calculated at $9.3 million, and last year it was 7.6. That single local rate collection is the online sales. Our vendors get or those retailers get the benefit of a single rate tax, so they pay 1.75 of the local 2%, so they get a reduced rate. And so you can see how our online sales have grown year over year. It's just moving that direction.
Why we jump too much, do you have any idea?
Do you know why? Do I have a reason why we jumped that much? No, sir.
Irving, Texas.
Oh, Irving? No, I don't know why Irving was number 1. I guess Irving was number 1.
36%,
Yeah. Yeah, at 36% year over year for Irving, that is very significant. Sometimes there's audits associated with the sales tax, and if somebody had failed to pay the correct amount and it got paid in that month, that will really jump somebody up. So that's a possibility, or things are just booming in Irving. I don't know which.
Great, we have Abilene.
Yeah.
2 numbers ahead for Abilene, Texas.
Yeah, we're very proud to be at number 4. It's good for our community.
On the single local rate collection, that 9.3 million, it's represented in the 4.8 year to date. It's
Yes,
not
sir.
in addition
Yeah,
to-
no, it's not in addition. That's just it broken out.
Yep.
But you can see that year over year change at 22% just in online collection. So it's a big deal. Andres, do you have anything to add?
No, just that we've got a lot of project in the pipeline, so I think we'll be in a good financial position, so.
All right. Next to last on our agenda is to establish the next board meeting date and time. Does staff have a preference?
Yes, sir, we do. If I can get my, yeah, July 14th, we could do it that morning, either 8, 9, 10 o'clock. That's probably our preference. We also could do it in the afternoon on the 15th or the 16th. Our normal meeting would be the 21st, but Andreas will be out of town.
How is 9 o'clock for everybody on the 14th? That would be fine, okay.
9.
So 9 o'clock on the 14th.
Yes, sir.
We are adjourned at 11:15.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.